So that's kind of the secret. The simpler the day, I'm not saying do like this is very much a feeling, intuitive, right? It's not like, how do I get 3 things or 4 things on my list like Colby and then do those things? It's not a freaking multiple choice question and choose. No, what's necessary and what's unnecessary? Only you can know that, right? But when you know what's necessary and you do those things, you find you live the majority of your time in bonus. Welcome in. Stay a while. We're going to talk about basically 4 unconventional rules that I use every day to live a bangin' life. Now, this is going to be in direct contradiction to, say, if you wear a Whoop band or like an Aura ring, or you're monitoring your sleep all the time, and a lot of your day is like, I got to close those rings on my Apple Watch. This is probably going to sound foreign to you. I want to be really clear that I'm not trying to judge you for the thing, right? I can only speak from my lens. I will say I've never had an Apple Watch or Whoop band or whatever. I've never sought those things. The reason is I find we just are suffering more and more from this addiction of the idea that we need to optimize freaking everything, right? And when you have to optimize everything, I've learned that it actually causes more stress, more anxiety. And so no matter how amazing you do with these things, it seems pretty short-lived if you do enjoy it, and causes stress or anxiety or whatever. Most of the time, whether you're not hitting it or I saw somebody who was wearing an Aura ring the other day and was like, it's telling me my heart rate is going up, and that only makes my heart rate go up more because I'm freaking out on why I'm freaking out. So it's kind of this endless cycle. So we're going to talk about something different, because I really find the simpler, the more in control, the less outcome focused, the more banging life, right? And if you are meant for more, you're going to fall into amazing stuff automatically. But essentially, my banging life requires 4 things. I'm going to tell you about all of them. I'm going to tell you why that they matter to me. And it really only requires a book, a pen, and civilization every single day, which means whether I travel, whether I'm sick, which I kind of am right now, good day, bad day, doesn't really matter. I can get these things done. And I'm like, fuck, that was a good day, right? Um, and so saddle in. We'll go through them really freaking quick. And you get to decide for yourself whether you want to filter this through your own life and decide on what it is for you. So let's get going. All right. So this is just based on a premise that a great life is just a bunch of great days, right? So I was thinking for a long time in pursuit of, I want a great life. I want a great life. I want a great life. And if you are on social media at all, what does a great life mean? It means a lot of money. It means a lot of friends. It means a lot of fame, status, whatever. And somehow having peace and freedom and autonomy as well. So then you get into the real world and you're like, hey, those don't coexist super well together. And so I really, after years and years of doing what everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people I encounter, nearby or far away, are still believing that you need to pursue greatness. I find that I wanted to get as micro as possible, because if I'm of the belief that if I just have a great day and then I have another one and then I have another one, I'm going to have a great life. And so that got down to the micro is, what does a great day look like? And a great day requires 4 things for me. It requires coffee, reading, writing, and helping. And so I'm going to go into each one of these. It may seem kind of trivial, but I want to explain why those are so important to me, because if you have like this crazy morning routine, and I say crazy in terms of like amount versus the things you're doing, right? But I wanted something that I could easily maintain regardless of if I felt good that morning. I don't really drink anymore, but in my 20s, I would have benefited from this, to where I was like, you could have this hungover, all that kind of stuff. I have 3 young kids. Whatever the situation, whether you're traveling, busy, overwhelmed, I wanted something I could achieve a great day with. And I settled on those 4 things. So let's kind of dive into coffee. Um, First of all, I absolutely love it, right? I've got mine right here, and we'll give a little bit of tribute to it. And I'm not sponsored at all by anything or anyone, but I've been drinking this coffee concentrate called Jot. If you just go to like Jot Coffee in Google, you'll find it for 3, 4 years now. And I've been on this subscription, and it's just you do a tablespoon of the concentrate to 8 ounces of water, and then you can make whatever you want. So I just chuck that in, kind of make like a cold brew latte thing with a little bit of milk. It takes about 90 seconds to make. Freaking delicious. Been drinking it for years. And I'm kind of a coffee snob. Just ask anybody who knows me, right? So, first thing, it's delicious. It is just, you got to have these things in life that are these small, tiny little moments of satisfaction. And the smaller, the better, because then you can achieve that satisfaction more often, right? And the next thing is like, it is what I think kind of going with that is that we should just have these little luxuries, these things that we seek and crave that we can actually satisfy, right? And if I bought coffee every day, and I don't buy it every day, but I buy it a lot of days, um, and I'll typically do like a cortado first, which is like $4 or $5, and then I'll do a nice latte next, which is like $6 to $7, right? So all in, let's say with tips and stuff, we're like $12 a day. All right. Well, if I did that every day, every single day of the month, right? So 12 times 31, that's $372, right? For something I absolutely crave, enjoy, and get a lot out of. That is a really minor, if you want to call it addiction, we can, but a really minor pleasure, right? I love the simple life. And so, yeah, I may have a larger coffee budget than most, but I have a much lower satisfaction budget than most, right? When you have something like that, you don't need a fancy car, right? The car I drive right now, because we have 3 young kids, is an absolute beater. Like the brakes squeak. There's a dent in the side from when somebody else was driving it and hit something. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't care. This is a stopgap. I don't need a nice car. Can I afford a nicer car? 100% don't want it right now, even though I despise that thing. But it's because kids, you should see the inside of that thing trashed, right? So I don't need a nice car. I wear the same freaking clothes all the time. Again, none of this is judgment, but it's like I I could talk on end about coffee and why I like it, which is to say it is a true satisfaction, right? Can you talk that same way about your car? Can you talk that same way about your house, your clothes? Needing to, you know, own expensive things. Sure, if you can, then do it without guilt, right? I just happen to have a really kind of minor one. But the coolest part about it is it connects me with people. After I burned out really bad while I was still owning a digital marketing agency in 2022, early 2023, I just hopped on LinkedIn, and actually one of my employees had told me you should be posting on LinkedIn. And I was like, why the hell would I do that? I'm not a social media influencer. But I saw it as a way to write because I really enjoy it. And within a week, I started meeting people and like connecting. It was much easier back then when LinkedIn wasn't a trash fire like it is now. And would just be like, hey, I'm still doing this. I don't want to pitch you marketing services because that's not really my bag. I have a marketing agency. I don't like pitching marketing services. If you know you need it, you'll get it. And if you don't want it, the last thing you want to hear is someone pitching it to you. And so I would just get coffee with people, no agenda at all. Like, hey, the only promise I'm making you is that I'm pretty sure I'm a good time and that you probably have dozens of meetings a week. And this one will probably be the most memorable because it's fun, right? And that's what it was. And so I'd get coffee and get coffee and get coffee. And before you know it, it's August 2026. And I've had something like, I don't keep an exact count, but I've had something like 650, somewhere between 650 and 700 coffee chats in the last 3.5 years. And it's been the same since day one, right? I just kind of stumbled into a gold mine of like, I'm a curious person. I can ask a lot of questions. Most people like coffee. And so the way I do it is, and if you are, I like to talk to entrepreneurs and founders and stuff. So it's not that I won't get coffee with anybody, but like I really enjoy getting coffee with those people. So I'll leave my link down below in this video if you ever want to grab a coffee or whatever, because what I do is, typically it could be 20 minutes to an hour, because I'm a curious person. And if the vibes are there, it tends to go longer. But if you show up, I buy you a coffee. And that's just my gesture of being like, I will genuinely buy you something that I love to spend time with you. Right. And if you don't like coffee, you can pay it forward or whatever, because it's just a gift card. But it's been so amazing that I can just connect with people. I just moved to a new city. It's actually the same city I went to college in. So I hadn't been here in like 12 years, 13 years. And so I knew pretty much nobody. And I've been here for 5 weeks and I've gotten coffee with 10 different people in person, right? Which is incredible. So you get to really feel a part of a place really, really quickly if you do something like that. But just to get to know people. So coffee, massive. Whether I'm meeting with somebody or not, I have it every day. And it is a small pleasure. Like, I know some people, their small pleasures like going golfing or whatever. I could only go golfing 4 times with the same budget that I spend on coffee if I got coffee every day. So I'd rather have the coffee every day. The next one is reading. And I came to reading really, really late. So I'm going to be 37 next month, which sounds old and not old at the same time, which is probably like the first words you say before you have a mid to, I guess I'm past quarter life crisis. Is there such thing as a third life crisis? Anyways, I got to it late, right? So probably not until like 25, 26, I started reading. The first book I really sunk my teeth into was Naked Lunch by William Burroughs. And that was because Anthony Bourdain had done a show on Tangier, where Burroughs basically wrote this book completely whacked out on all sorts of drugs. And it reads that way. But anyways, from there, I just got hooked. And now I'm looking in this new house. It's super cool because I've never actually had proper bookshelves before. And now our whole living room is just one wall of bookshelves. And I'm like, man, I own a lot of books. Probably somewhere in the range of 200-300, something like that. I think somebody told me the other day, like 500 books equals a library. And so I'm getting close. But I find that reading is probably one of the cheapest, most enjoyable ways you can actually improve yourself, right? Now, I am all for getting a mentor. I'm all for coaching. I'm all for like courses and all that kind of stuff. I think books are better, right? And so I don't really need to sit here and tell you why books are amazing. I would just say read as much as you possibly freaking can. I've been on a kick lately where I've finished like really probably like 6 thick books. I actually have the pile here and I'll show you what I'm reading just in case you're interested. In like the last 2 months, I've probably read more than I ever have. So we're talking thousands and thousands of pages, which is not a flex. I'm just really enjoying it. So here's what I've recently read or I'm currently reading. So I've got, let's see if the camera can focus on that. Nope. I'm not even going to try because the camera's not going to focus on it. So I'm just going to hold it over here. Plutarch, Roman Lives. I can't wait to read Greek Lives. The cool thing with this is that, so I'm almost done with this. I'm reading up on Antony right now. And the reason I had to buy that, like that was on my list for a while, was because I read this, Truman, by David McCullough, R.I.P., and this is the best biography I've ever read. And the camera is so struggling right now. Anyways, this is the best biography I have ever read. It's like 1,000 pages, 900 pages, something like that. And one of those where I'm like, give me 1,000 more. It's so freaking good. To go from this guy who like completely salt of the earth grows up in Missouri to becoming president of the United States, the atomic bomb. Like, I will, if you need any tidbits of advice, if you want to be reading, a lot of people have been asking me for my recommendations lately. I'm like, I could give specific recommendations like this. I'm like, just read biographies, man. I said not long ago, I think in a video, I don't know that I'll ever read another business book, right? They just pale in comparison to a fucking biography. Read a biography and thank me later, right? Which, speaking of biographies, just finished Grant. Second time running through it, except I didn't mark it up the first time, and so now I'm marking it up. And the cool thing about reading something a second time is A, you already knew you liked it. Otherwise, why would you pick it up again? And B is when you start marking through it, you're like, oh man, okay, I really want to remember that later, which is actually manifested into me taking up what's called like the note card system. It's rooted in this, I believe, German word Zettelkasten. Ryan Holiday uses it. He learned it from Robert Greene, apparently the guy who wrote like 48 Laws of Power. And it is that you just go back into the books that you marked up and then you write any specific excerpt that you really liked on a note card, right? And in so doing, you're creating what's called a commonplace book, I think is what it's called, a commonplace book, which is just like a huge amount of note cards. And in that, you can just enhance your learning and that sort of stuff. I've been kind of slacking on it lately, but I've note carded up like 3 or 4 books because I just took it on recently. And so these are all the books that I have read that I still need to note card. So I, believe it or not, am setting aside time in my freaking calendar to do that. So Team of Rivals, couldn't recommend it enough as well. Had a president's kick lately, I guess. But Lincoln, basically probably one of the most important people in civilization's history. And why is that? Read Team of Rivals and you'll find out. Read through this second time. Probably one of those books I'll read through, dozens of times in my life. Recommend this book to a lot of people, especially people who are in like the rigidity of a 9 to 5 and all that sort of stuff, or people who think what they do isn't art. If you have a passion for it, you're an artist, basically. So go with that. And then I feel so fortunate to have finally read Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, fiction book, probably the best fiction book I've ever read. And I hate when people overhype stuff. I've read, hundreds of fiction books. It's not quite thousands yet, but I've read hundreds. And this is far and away the best one I've ever read. So it was, again, another book I just hated to be finished with. And then currently going through Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays as well. And I'm using The Art of War by Sun Tzu as a coaster for my coffee right now. So reading, man, literally the best way to improve yourself in my mind is what I say to clients a lot. I say, pretty much anyone who will listen is like, who do you spend every second of every day with? Yourself, right? I find one of the best ways to access what I truly care about, how I respond to the world, the person I'm trying to become, through the lens of reading and then deciding what I want, what I've learned, to how I want it to impact my life. So if you are in the phase where you are reading just for word counts and not to learn, then I would recommend don't even pick up a new book. Just go back to a book you like and then mark the hell out of it. And that's when you start actually like retaining what you read, right? So far, coffee and reading. Next one, writing, right? Now, I'll be a lot quicker on this one because it's really simple, is that most people are not writing at all, right? And a lot of people will chalk that up to, well, I'm not a good writer. And it's like, who cares? Who said you had to be good? And isn't good subjective, right? But this has really hit me recently because I write every day, right? This is all about how do you have a bangin' life? Have a bunch of good days. What's a good day or a great day? For me, having writing in there. I'm not talking thousands of words. Some days it is. Some days it's a couple hundred. Some days I write a freaking sentence, right? But just writing every day has revealed so much of my purpose in this world. And it's just really hit me lately because I've talked to a couple of people since moving here. And when I said, yeah, I write every day, they were like, really? Every day? They're like, I don't write at all. And I just think it's going to be really hard for me to not sound judgmental in this. I can assure you it's not coming from a place of judgment. It's more of a place of confusion. Is like, how would you actually know yourself that well without reflecting on it? Right. So whether you write a journal, and writing can be multi-use, right? It doesn't have to be pen in a book. Leave yourself voice memos, right? Like the amount of just sheer talking to myself that I have done in the last few years is so much, right? So I leave myself voice memos. I left myself a voice memo to talk about this video today. I will occasionally record myself if I have something just stewing up in here. And I keep a Google Doc. I just call it untitled, and I just write in there. And then I do a lot of public facing writing, but that's just for the nature of trying to be useful, right? In many ways, like this video is kind of like public facing writing, in that I'm just expressing what has been really, really helpful to me. And I see that as one of social media's two ultimate functions, which is self-expression and then connection, right? And, obviously there could be a whole other videos of people using social media for every other use case, but those two is like, how do I game the algorithm? How do I frickin' blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this is an amazing place for me to express myself and find people who vibe with that. That's pretty much the whole point of it to me. But really the writing in general is like, whether you're writing publicly or privately, whether it's written down, voice noted, recorded, whatever, is just do it. If you're the person who spends every second of every day with yourself, you need to know that person inside and out. And I think one of the purest ways to do that is to write. But so many people struggle with the idea of, well, that doesn't sound good, or it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't whatever. Many times I will just start writing in that Google Doc and being like, I can't think of anything. Like I will write it and be like, I can't think of anything. My brain's foggy as hell. Man, I'm really kind of annoyed at blah, 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 blah. And I will just write, stream of consciousness writing. And by doing that, it just starts kicking on switches and, blowing away the cobwebs and all that kind of stuff. And then something comes up, right? And that was a huge discovery for me, because in the past, I wouldn't do anything until an idea hit me. And I realized that would delay and delay and delay, and then I would still judge it because it didn't feel really that great. Whereas if I just get into the act, press record, start writing, whatever it is, and I go, typically I'm getting it down to like in less than 10 minutes, something I'm like, boom, that's the thing. Do that thing, talk about that thing, help that thing, solve that thing in your business, whatever it may be. It is the act of doing it that speeds me up, right? So if you're not reflecting on yourself because you're afraid you're going to sound stupid, or you're afraid you're not a good writer, or blah, 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 is like none of that should envelop your mindset at all. Write for the act of writing, whether it makes fucking sense or not, right? It is the same, like getting good at it. I've been doing it for years. I've got piles and piles of journals, and I still don't know if I'm actually that good. But I also don't fucking care, because I love the act of it, right? And if it can be helpful for someone, it will be. Okay? So final one, if we are having coffee, we're reading every day, we're writing every day, most days I will have done all three of those things before 10 a.m., right? The final one, and this would be the most important in general, just help somebody. The benefit with this is some days it's really minor, right? Weekends, for instance, I feel like I don't really help that much because I'm not speaking to clients and all that kind of stuff. But I absolutely am, right? 3 young kids. My daughters, who aren't even 3 yet, still can't put their shoes on. my son asked me a ton of questions. He asked me about God this morning, right? And so like being able to just help them, whether it's putting on clothes, answering the meaning of life questions or anything in between, you're helping, right? And so same thing in your work, whatever it is are you helping someone or are you seeking to take, right? Because we've already been given the best gift known to existence, right? The ability to like have movement, think critically, billions of gifts, right? It's like, okay, well then how can I reciprocate that? Just go help somebody. It can be the most minor thing, right? But there will be some days where, I've made like breakfast for the kids and all that sort of stuff, and I'll still be like, man, I don't really feel like I've helped enough. But what an amazing emotion or thought process or whatever, because then I'm actively looking for more things to do to help, right? And when you put all these together, I've had a great day. If I've helped somebody, if I've been able to write, which is to say, learn about myself, or at least commit to the act. If I've read, which is to say, broaden my mind, right? And if I've had coffee, a small little pleasure that I can afford, that's a great freaking day for me, right? And so, much like I said at the beginning, all I need is a book, a pen, and civilization. And so, my challenge to you would be like, you want a great life. You wouldn't still be watching this video unless you wanted a great life. I want you to think about, what does a great day mean? Now, what does a great day look like? What does it mean? Right? Because a lot of people would look at my great day and be like, that's not enough. But what I'm not sharing is all the stuff I do outside of that, right? In many ways, it's like, how do I hit the baseline criteria so I can be okay with me, so I can like me, and then stack on top of that. There are many times where I will have read, written, had a coffee, and helped somebody by like 9 a.m. And then I get to help somebody else. And then I get to help somebody else. And then I get to help somebody else. And sometimes I am freaking exhausted at the end. And it's a banging day. A banging day, because I know I did those 4 things and everything else was bonus time. Right? So that's kind of the secret. The simpler the day, I'm not saying do like this is very much a feeling, intuitive, right? It's not like, how do I get 3 things or 4 things on my list like Colby and then do those things? It's not a freaking multiple choice question and choose. No, what's necessary and what's unnecessary? Only you can know that, right? But when you know what's necessary and you do those things, you find you live the majority of your time in bonus time, which means you're less afraid. The stakes are lower. You have more fun. You just have a better attitude. You're like, I already had a great day at 9:30. And now it's 2:30 over here. And I'd be like, holy shit, I just freaking learned how to do X, Y, and Z. Or, wow, that thing came into my life because there was space and I could help. When you are so fixated on chasing greatness as a life is comprised of a bunch of days. And that's a really lofty thing that just relies on so many external things. Whereas unless I am in like a coffee desert, I can certainly write, I can certainly read, I can certainly help somebody. Coffee's one of the most widely available, like I can have that day every day for the rest of my life. And in so doing, I get to live bonus time. I get to do extra stuff, right? So what is that for you? Because if your day requires, a cold plunge and then a sauna and then meditation and then a skincare routine and then there's nothing wrong with that. It is just, and if your day truly needs all of those things to feel great, commit to it. Just know that the more complex your day gets in terms of this is what's required for a great day, the harder it is to maintain. How do you maintain that when you travel? How do you maintain that when you're sick, right? So I really, so much of me sharing this with you today was by me just mentioning it in conversation with people. I say, I basically have two beliefs in terms of success and greatness and all that kind of thing. So you've already heard the one, a great life is just a bunch of great days. In which case, the following question is, what does a great day look like for me? And you heard reading, writing, coffee, helping. The other one is success is just having higher level problems than you did a year ago. Not as in like you have more problems, it's just higher level problems, right? Look at anyone in your life right now who's still solving problems that they had in high school or still solving problems that they had in their 20s, right? Life is full of problems and it's messy and all that. But if you are still annoyed by something that happened 10 years ago, technically you're kind of a part of you at least is living 10 years ago life. However, that if you're 35 right now and something from 10 years ago still bothers you, you're kind of living like a 25-year-old in some parts of your life, right? That's not judgment, it's just objective. If it still runs your life, that's how you're living it, right? And so we're not trying to talk about success and going down that crazy path. I just thought it was useful to share as a companion to, like, if you want a great life, what's the micro? What's a great day for you, right? Not take mine and run with it. Ask yourself the question, what do I need, right? And follow up questions like, what's a small pleasure I can bank on? What is a way to get to know myself better? What is a way to expand myself? What is a way to be useful? That is essentially the question behind each one of those, right? Small pleasure, coffee. Get to know myself, writing. Expand myself, reading. Be useful, helping. That's a bangin' life. Absolutely bangin' life. It does not need to be more complex than that. And my challenge to you is, can you find a great day that is less than 4 things? Because if so, you're freaking amazing. And I want you to drop a comment in this video if so. Outside of that, thank you so much for watching. I really do enjoy these. And I don't know when I'll be doing another video, but I will be doing one. And so feel free to subscribe if you want that in your inbox. Or I think you got to hit the notification bell. Still learning YouTube, obviously. And yeah, if you are a founder, entrepreneur, whatever, and you want me to buy you coffee in exchange for dope conversation, you'll find that link down below and all the other stuff if you want to follow me elsewhere. So thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one.